Hello everybody and welcome back to another one of those videos where I talk about updates in the Steam version of Dwarf Fortress coming from Toady1 and KitFox. This is a bit of a different one because instead of a new update, it's every single update from the previous year. I'm going back through all of 2021 and we're going to be talking about all of the updates to Dwarf Fortress and my hindsight takes on them because I've had some time to think them over now. Of course, you could go back and watch all of the videos that I uploaded throughout the year, but this would be a lot quicker and also hopefully more enjoyable. I also did one of these for 2020 if you care to go back. There's a link down in the description of that video as well as the playlist for all of these. The first regular Dwarf Fortress news update on Steam was dated on January 14th, 2021, and this is covering the details of your dwarves' brains. So I really liked this update when it came out. It was very interesting to kind of see how they are going to portion down the current wall of text mess that is the Dwarven Brains screen down into kind of something that's much smaller and more manageable. Kind of the theme for this whole year in updates is a lot of different visual screenshots of UI, because last year we got a couple screenshots of UI. There was a few things that happened throughout the year, but this year was all very much themed around the more detailed and complex menus that traditionally scare people away from the game. So it was really nice to see this traditionally very terrifying screen for the individual dwarves themselves being kind of parsed out in a way that is a little bit more approachable. Of course, you have their health screen, their noble position if they have one, their age, and their family tree or their immediate family, as well as their values, which is something that I think a lot of people very much miss when they have the dwarves, because a lot of people just kind of look at the compounded versions of that information instead of kind of taking the time to read it, because with Dwarf Fortress you'll get the most out of the game if you're reading all of the dwarves individually. But I think that this screen of UI was definitely a strong way to start off the year. The second screenshot that came in from this update was a set of coffins. I really like the way these look with the little skulls on top, and when they're open and empty, it makes them a lot easier to kind of decipher from the current version, because currently they're just like a little circle basically on the ASCII versions, or a tiny little coffin type object, but you don't see any difference between them open and closed, so there's no immediate visual difference on which ones have been taken and which ones haven't. So I really like the fact that the coffins are much clearer in the Steam version. But let's move on. The next screenshot that we got was in the 11th of February, 2021, and it's about refining the workshop interface, essentially. So this is the workshop interfaces for Dwarf Fortress, and again, this is another one of those more complicated screens that even I don't use a lot of the tools in because I find them a little bit too tricky and finicky to fiddle with. I know how a lot of them work, but it's one of those situations where I just don't bother because I could get more done in a quicker period of time if I'm not messing around in the minutia of the details of this UI. But the second one here as well, where you can just kind of see what's going on in the workshop, I think all of this stuff is very useful, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing people be able to play Dwarf Fortress to its full potential more frequently instead of just kind of fiddling around with the basics, which is about as deep as most people get. And I would also like to shout out pictures of Scamps that got released, because Scamps is a beautiful kitty. Moving on. Now, this screenshot was an absolute surprise. This was from February 25th, and this is the statues. So this was allegedly one of the elusive Meph's additions to the game. Tarn credited him in the idea for this when we were talking in one of the interviews that I did throughout the year. And this is the variations on the statues. So different statue images are now tied to the descriptions. So if there is a major item in the description, like a wave or a moon or a dog or a specific animal or a specific creature, it ties that image to the creature on the statue, thus giving us very large varieties of statues. This was something that totally floored me when I saw it. I was not expecting this level of detail to be coming to the Steam version and the premium versions on itch and Steam alike. There are two separate statues here, and I think that they are both beautiful, and I'm very excited to see that feature fully fleshed out and implemented. The next screenshot here is just some typical elves, and this series came from March 11th, 2021. And this is our first real introduction to a lot of humanoid characters and the varieties of the humanoid characters. So these are a whole bunch of elves and some dwarves, of course. And I just love the way that these guys look. I think that these characters are just absolutely fantastic. We have a variety of characters, all brought to you by Mike Mayday, and they just, once again, look absolutely phenomenal. I think that these are some of my favorite parts of the game. I know there's been some people who have talked about like not liking the kind of big head and stubby look, but I think that they look cartoony and also clear. And for me, kind of the most important part is being able to decipher the faces. And I think if they made the heads much smaller, it would become very difficult to decipher the faces. And I think it shows the variety of the different characters and shapes and sizes of the dwarves and the other characters alike. And I'm very keen on this update. This is one of my favorite ones. Also, seeing the differences between the wooden and the metal armors for the various species, I think is also really cool because, you know, decipherability and immediately telling the difference between things at a glance is one of the hardest things in Dwarf Fortress, and I think that this is working really well towards that. And of course, then there's a screenshot of just the elves at the end of this particular update, which I, again, also think just look phenomenal. I love the varieties of the colors, I love the varieties of the clothing, I love the varieties of the hairdo and the hairstyles, because all of these are seen in text descriptions currently in the game, and now seeing them all just displayed visually is just awesome. I love the numbers of combinations that we're going to get, and I can't wait to explore the different cultures in Dwarf Fortress fully visually realized. On to the next one.
Okay, so here's another update video. We have a fortress that Zach has been working on, the co-founder of Bay 12 Games. And he's got a fishery outside there with his... there have been a lot of turtles. Went through that fishery. We've got animals pastured outside and so forth. And you can see the different underground grasses that have come up now that the spores have been released. And we have a nice little hatch cover there. This
is the video on the KitFox YouTube channel entitled Dwarf Fortress Dev Update Huge Fortress, and it was uploaded on April 8th, 2021. This is Tarn kind of doing a tour of a rather large fortress that Zach had designed, if I'm not mistaken. And I just wanted to point out that this is kind of a start of a new kind of direction for the news updates. This is where Tarn really started posting these videos and talking directly to the community, which personally, I'm kind of hurt because you're taking my job, guys. But also, it's really nice to hear from Tard on a bi-weekly basis, practically for a little bit here throughout the year, talking about various little portions of the fort. And I really, really appreciate these kinds of updates because I think that Dwarf Fortress has always kind of been a game that's had a little bit of an enigma around it. It's kind of a mythical thing where the developer barely exists, and I think it's lovely to see Tarn kind of take the front foot forward and sit on camera and talk to the audience directly. These videos are all a treat, and they're all on the KitFox YouTube channel if you'd like to skip through them. We'll be showing you some clips from other ones later on in this video, but definitely go check them out. They're worth watching. Following up with that, we have April 22nd's update, which is a very short video of how to pull a lever, which I quite appreciate. And then a image that I very much love, which is also something that I'm very excited about, which is stockpiles. So stockpiles, again, have that kind of clarity issue of what exactly is in them. And one of the ways that they are working to alleviate that in the premium versions is by graphically changing the different items. The fact that you can kind of get an idea of what's in your barrels at a glance, I think is absolutely wonderful. And the kitty cat in that screenshot's lovely as well. Scrolling up to May the 6th, 2021, another update that I was very surprised by and also super excited about to see. This is trade caravans. So the reason this update is neat is because currently trade caravans are just kind of like a blobby square, but this is like actually realized, I guess, Tarn's imagination for what they're supposed to look like, with a little bit of assistance from some artists, obviously. The actual visuals of these the trade depots look lovely as far as I'm concerned. The different little tables and the little discussing table in the middle to sign some paperwork, I think is a lovely little addition, and I think it's going to add a lot to people's imagination of these trading depots. I never really knew what to make of them in the past. They were always just kind of like, well, here's the blob where they do the trading, which is fine in a mechanical sense, but in a visual sense, I think that these are a lovely addition. Just the sheer difference between the originals and the new ones, which you can see here clearly from these screenshots, are beautiful, as well as the improvements made to the UI itself for trading, and of course bringing stuff to the trading depot. I think that this was a lovely little collection of updates. Also, one of the first screenshots of adventure mode that we've seen, because there is a pack animal following a little character here. This is something that we won't see much of for the rest of the year, and probably won't see for a little bit into 2022 now, but super keen to see more adventure mode, super excited to see what they do with dialogue in adventure mode, and super excited to see what they do to make adventure mode more interesting to a viewer. As a content creator, this is very important to me. Moving on to the next one. Now another very memorable update from the year. May 20th, 2021, they announced or showed off the first images of bridges. So there was a Reddit thread briefly before this one kind of showing off some mock-ups, but then we got this actual set of screenshots, and these are lovely. First, I just want to highlight the fact that there's fish all along the side of the river, which is that's going to be a constant. There will be dead fish everywhere, and it's going to be glorious. But we have our lovely wagon, we have this little set of levers, and we have a little animation here of a drawbridge getting lifted up. We also have a underground drawbridge made out of a more sturdy material, and of course it lifted up as well. And then last but not least, a drawbridge with the ability to drop things that are not willingly being dropped into lava. This particular screenshot here with the lava actually stirred up a little bit of controversy, because people said, and myself included, kind of critiqued it, stating that it was hard to tell what layer the lava was on, and also how deep the lava was. Of course, this lava is 2 Z levels below the bridge, or at least 1 Z level below the bridge on the lower level. I'm still looking at this one kind of going, heh? But that got alleviated a little bit later on by some Reddit threads and some other posts. This lava is very much a work in progress and absolutely unfinished in this screenshot. So just kind of keep that in mind, and we'll move forward. The next one was a post that was posted on my birthday, June 3rd, 2021. It was a good day for me that day. And we got bees. Bees were posted about, and we got beehives. So you can kind of see the little beehives that were posted as part of this update alongside of the UI associated with them. Beehives are one of those kind of meticulous mechanics in Dwarf Fortress that either works extremely well or just kind of doesn't work for like kind of strange and mysterious reasons. I've always had some trouble actually making mead. I know how to do it. It's one of those things that is just kind of a little bit too finicky for me. So I've done it to prove that I can do it, but outside of that, it's a very finicky mechanic. You place the beehives, and then if there are bees on the map, the dwarves will go and steal a beehive from somewhere in a tree, and we'll go place it into the beehive, and then from there you can extract the honeycomb and press it to make wax, royal jelly, and honey, and then you can take that honey, put it into the right container, and then you can make it into mead. Of course, you can also make wax crafts and other things. It's a lovely set of little mechanics, and I quite enjoy bee farming in Dwarf Fortress, but like I said, it's maybe a little bit more finicky than it's worth in the current implementation, but I love the visuals with them regardless. The next update came from June 17th. 2021. And this is floodgates and the updated trade screen. So this is kind of like part 2 of the trade depot updates. But floodgates, of course, block water, and you can connect them to levers. There's, of course, a little GIF here, or GIF, or JIFE, however you want to however you jive with this way of saying things, of a lever that's been pulled by a dwarf that then ran out and jumped up to an upper layer, and then the floodgate floods the water in to flood these 2 little rooms. Lovely looking, absolutely beautiful on the water. And to those of you who are wondering, oh my god, how deep is it? You will be able to turn the number overlay on them to be able to see the depth of the water instead of just guesstimating based on the color. I prefer to just kind of go on the color, but you can go whichever way you want and have the more strict definitions there if you like. Lastly, on this update was the trade screen update, which again, I think that this is a really nice reinvention of the current UI. It is the current UI. This is the same UI that we have in the current game. However, because things are highlighted better, they're spaced out better, they're organized better, it just looks better. I know that there's been some people who, I've seen a few people pop up and say, why didn't they just reinvent the whole thing? Well, there's a point with if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? The problem with Dwarf Fortress is it's obtuse and tricky to get into because of its nature. The UI and kind of concepts behind the UI in the current game aren't actually bad. It's just the way that you interact with them and the way that they're laid out that's the problem. And this fixes the layout issues and it fixes the interaction issues. So to me, takes a decent UI in concept, but terrible in practice, to a good UI in concept and a good UI in practice. I really like this. I think that this is a lovely addition to the trade screen, and it's super easy to think about. Also, there's a search function at the top. Hallelujah. Let's move on to the next one. The next update that was posted came out on July the 1st, 2021, which is an important day for some people. This is the Information Hub, which is, as I call it, the unit screen, or the characters screen, or the dwarf screen, or the information about the dudes in the fortress screen. This one's pretty simple. It's essentially just like an expanded version of the current unit list, so you can kind of see who's in your fortress and what they're doing and what their jobs are, and then you can have some tools to jump to them or watch them or follow them and that sort of thing. Very simple. I like it. Looks nice. Pretty close to the current UI. A little bit more expanded functionality-wise. More buttons that are available and clickable instead of hotkeys. Not much to say here on this one. Now, this is an interesting one. This is a better ways to order your dwarves. This is like the expanded like workshop screen where you get a full list of all of your workshops and what they are currently doing and ways of organizing them once they're in the clothing or whatever shop that you happen to have selected. You can be very specific about which dwarves are doing what job and exactly what job each like workshop is doing. Again, more functionality that is current in the game, that is easier to understand and wrap your brain around and fiddle with. I'm still very excited about how they're going to tutorialize some of this stuff, unless that's going to be left up to like me and the new Tekud, who has changed his name from Paranoid Metroid, who's doing a lot of really good Dwarf Fortress tutorials. You should go check out his channel. I'll link it in the description. But seriously, like I'm curious about how much of this stuff is going to be left up to us to kind of explain to the player and how much of it is going to be tutorialized in the game. Next, we have another video. This is a Tarn Adams video walkthrough of wagons and various other things, including talking about the trade screen, some gem stockpiles, and a few other things. I recommend just watching the KitFox video because I'm not going to cram the whole thing in here. But once again, thanks, Tarn, for the video update. You are rad, and let's jump on to the next one. This next one was a lot of fun to kind of go through. It's also a pretty extensive one. This is the Noble Screen, Workers, and Other Things update. So this is the visuals of the Noble Screen, and there is worker assignment to specific workshops. So when you have a workshop, you can assign a worker to a specific worker to a specific workshop, especially if they have a certain skill that needs doing. So this kind of elaborates on all of that. A lot of detailed UI, which I'm not going to roll through. If you want, you can go back and watch my video on this particular update from August 12th, 2021. I recommend going back and watching that because this is a big, long one, and as I said, I'm not going to go through and show every single individual thing here, but essentially it's assigning specific workers to specific workshops and going through the jobs screen. Again, it's improvements to current UI that's already in the game, but updated in a way that is more digestible and understandable. And I really, really like how you can sort all of your dwarves by specific jobs, which is not something that we can currently do in the game if I'm not completely missing a menu. And of course, there's still some, work in progress stuff as well. If you're wondering what those big red squares are in this last or second to last screenshot here, those are items that are magma safe. So anything with the little lava icon and then the check mark, you can build it around lava in constructions and they won't melt. Otherwise, they will fall apart and disintegrate when they are touched with hot stuff. Spicy rock is bad rock. Lastly, we can see our nobles screen. These are the people that are in charge of things that people tend to hate. Don't hate them because they do important jobs that make your dwarves happy. Seriously, operate with your nobles because they are good people, even though they can be annoying sometimes, especially when they ask you to make stuff that you can't actually feasibly make on the map that you're on, or they're impossible to make out of the materials that they're using. Anyways, have a kitty picture. And a puppy picture. On to the next one. This next update was titled Taverns, Temples, and Hospitals from August 27th, 2021. This is where we got to see a bunch of different zone UIs. So the zone UIs are kind of interesting because you can make a zone and assign specific properties to it, that being temples, hospitals, guild halls, and other such buildings. These can allow dwarves to dance and play musical instruments and can have items stored in them. So this is the UI to operate and kind of micromanage what they are doing in those areas. Of course, you can also say whether or not visitors are allowed, only the dwarves in the fortress, or only specific types of dwarves in your fortress. You can be very draconian with that if you want. As we scroll down, you can see performers that can be assigned to a temple to play musical instruments, and of course, all of the different materials that can be assigned to hospitals. I like these updates. Again, expansions on UI that is simpler to understand for a less understanding audience. On September 9th, 2021, they posted this spiral entrances GIF, which I really like. And I like this GIF because even though it's simple, it shows something that we hadn't seen up until now, which I actually talked to Tarn about in my, I think, August interview with him, or summer interview, whenever we did it. I can't remember what month it was. But when we spoke, we talked about this because we hadn't actually seen dwarves or anything moving on lower Z levels. So this is a couple of dwarves running into a fortress down a little spiral entrance, and you can see them fade off down into the distance. I love this. This is wonderful. Combat is going to be so cool looking when heads explode on lower Z levels, and I can see their bodies splattering into tiny little pieces. I can't wait! On to the next one. This next one is a video update. This is the Desert Fortress in action gameplay. I'll let you see a little bit of the footage, and then I will come back and keep talking about the screenshots that were included with it. Once again, I just want to thank KitFox for putting out these videos. If you want to watch the full video, the link will be in the description. I'll probably just link to the playlist, but just jump in there and have a peek because those are fantastic little videos. From there on, we can see some different areas of the actual fortress itself in these highlighted screenshots that are lovely, and we get to see some actual deserts and cacti, which we haven't seen before in any of the other previous updates. I love this like desert biome screenshot. I'm very excited to see glaciers, by the way, which is something we haven't seen yet. Scrolling down a little further, we have some more shots of the underground caverns, which once again, I think genuinely just look beautiful, and I can't wait to build a fortress in them. On October 7th, 2021, we got our next update, and this is of wells. So there's a little very brief video of them constructing some wells, and then a screenshot of a well itself. And again, I appreciate the short little video, even though they're kind of doing my job. Come on, guys. And the actual the screenshot of the well itself, I think, is self-explanatory and pretty simple. And let's move on to the next one. On October 21st, 2021, How to Stop a Goblin Attack was posted. This is a video about a murder hallway featuring Zach, which includes dismembering beak dogs and splattering goblins into a lot of itty-bitty pieces. I recommend watching this full video. This is one of my favorite ones that they uploaded of the year, and definitely an enjoyable watch. I won't say too much more. Zach, thank you very much for all that you've done for us this year, and let's get close to the very end of this. This next video update that was posted on the KitFox News channel features yours truly. I do a little overview of their military patrol routes and military screens for them. If you would like to watch that video, it's also linked down in the description. I don't have too much more to say about that particular news update because it was quite recent, and also I covered it very extensively in 2 videos already. So I recommend you go watch those videos if you'd like to see more of that. Now the drama. So TLDR, if you want to go find out what happened, you can go watch the video that I put up about Meph leaving. But long story short, due to previous practices exposed by the community and a whistleblower, Meph is no longer working on the premium versions of Dwarf Fortress. However, this isn't all bad because they have a new artist. This new artist is Jacob Bowman, who is the artist of Iron Hand. If you're unfamiliar with Iron Hand, it is one of the classic Dwarf Fortress tile sets that has been around for a long time and one of the stalwarts that a lot of people still use, even though it's rather out of date and missing assets now. This is the first new posts from the new artist, and I really, really like the way these first 2 screenshots look that were posted on December 2nd, 2021, and they roll very smoothly and nicely into the final, well, almost final update of that was posted on December 16th, 2021, with Tarn's lovely update where he's super enthusiastic talking about his embark screen, which he spoke with me about on the last interview that I did with him, where he said that he was a little bit nervous about how it was going to look, and it seems to have turned out great. And he's very enthusiastic, and this is a very fun video to watch. I recommend watching that video from Tarn, and also, seriously, these screenshots of this world map look phenomenal. Phenomenal. I had a hiccup there. Apologies. And now, the official last update of the year, which was posted on bay12games.com/dwarves on December 24th, 2021, where Tarn talks a little bit about save modding architecture, essentially simplifying it. If you would like to read the post for yourself, it's on screen right now, or you can see it on the Bay12 Games website. Long story short, it's going to be simpler to mod the game in the Steam version. I'm assuming that this is for Steam Workshop integration. Very curious to talk to him at a more extensive level next time we speak. Maybe in March. Shall I just tease that a little bit? That's probably when I'm going to talk to him next. So overall, I think that this was a really nice year. As you can tell, this video is significantly longer than the roundup last year because there's a lot more meat to it. A lot more UI screenshots require more explanation instead of just, ooh, look, pretty sprite. So I just wanted to say a real quick thank you to everybody who's been supporting Dwarf Fortress over the past year and everybody who's supporting me and my streams over the past year. This community is absolutely fantastic, and I just wanted to say thank you for helping this YouTube channel get almost 1 million views this year, which is actually kind of mind-numbingly massive. I've been doing this for a long time, but YouTube is something I've only been taking seriously since about 2019, 2018-ish. So I just wanted to say thank you, everybody who's come along for the ride on this channel, and if you haven't already, please go support Bay12 Games on Patreon and help them continue to make this game a wild success. And of course, wishlist it and yada yada on Steam and all that jazz. And if you'd like to support me and these updates that I do and the live streams that I do directly, you can do that by supporting me on Patreon. You can see my patrons on the screen right now. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to doing another year of these. Hopefully, Dwarf Fortress will release at some point in the summer this year. I think it would be pretty unlikely that it won't release, especially some things that Tarn has said like privately to me as well as to other people and in other places. I think it is pretty likely it'll release in 2022. That being said, I did say it would release most likely late 2021, so I'm probably not to be trusted. But, if anybody wants to bet in the comments when it will release, by all means, go nuts. Thank you very much for watching this video, and of course, I'll see you in the next one.